Fellow tennis nerds, I hope you are well. The string poll has concluded. Thanks to all of you who voted, and thanks especially to you who commented, because I will send out a few sample sets to 3 of you guys. We did a fun draw. Stefan arranged it in some software, so you will find out the winner towards the end, and I will try to get your address so I can ship you some string samples, and I'm keen to hear what you think. The more string opinions we can get, the better, because there is an ocean of strings out there. It's obviously very personal, and many strings are very racket dependent. Remember that, like, some strings work well in one racket, one type of racket, and then does not work well in another racket. So you have to pair them. Some people love one certain type of string, maybe a round slippery string. Some people like a more shaped string. I tend to choose string per the racket I'm playing or testing. I'm obviously testing with the same string usually, but then I usually figure out whether it's going to work better with a shaped string or a round string or a hybrid with natural gut or something like that. And that's how I've been doing things for a long time. But it's always good to test with your main string, or a string you really know. Otherwise, it's tough to tell what the racket is doing and what the string is doing. Then we have the whole thing with tension and so on, but that will be for another video. There are many string videos on the channel already, but it's a topic that keeps evolving because there's a lot of string evolution and string brands, and I think there's more evolution and more work in the string space right now than in the racket space. So it's kind of fascinating to follow, and it's not so expensive to test strings compared to buying rackets, which are very expensive these days, as you know. But back to the results. Who won? Well, Solinco won, 21%. Impressive, over 300 votes. Solinco have made a statement as a string brand over quite a long time now, based out of Los Angeles, known for their strings such as Torbite, Hyper-G, and then now the Mac 10, which is slightly softer. They also have Confidential. Many of the strings are 5-sided and give you a very good bite and a crisp feel. That's what Solinco are famous for. And I think they were really early on the more like colorful trend with Hyper-G. So that's kind of how they made their statement. And I'm a fan of Torbite, especially. I always liked Hyper-G as well. Confidential Pink, Confidential Soft is really the name, is the string I tested most recently, and I do enjoy that. It feels a bit like a slightly softer Hyper-G. So somewhere in between Hyper-G and Hyper-G Soft. Very good playability. I think I prefer it over a Mac 10. But Solinco strings, obviously very good. They had the Bryan Bros endorsing them when they were active. They're still ambassadors of the strings. Many pros on tour using some for Solinco string. They've done a great job in colleges and so on. So kudos to Solinco for winning and beating Laxilon, because Laxilon number 2 is obviously legendary in the string game. You see Laxilon strings everywhere on tour, partly due to their very strong collaboration with Wilson. Wilson and Laxilon are closely intertwined. Laxilon is not owned by Wilson, but it's a partnership, and you see many pros using Wilson rackets, also using Power or 4G. Very, very popular on the Pro Tour, both WTA and ATP. And that's probably going to persist. You know, you see lots of blades and pythons out there, and you're going to see a lot of Power and 4G. So Laxilon still make great strings. They have a new prototype string on the way that I've been trying, which is good, and I will tell you more about later on when I have a bit more information. I only had 2 sets to test, so positive impressions both from me and Henrik, but I can't say much more than that because I simply don't know much more than that. But that's going to be an interesting string. Number 3 on this list, this was a tight race, 5 votes. They beat Torline. Head. So Head, actually a little bit of an underestimated string brand sometimes. I mean, they are very famous for their rackets, somewhat infamous for their balls, but their strings are good. You know, Lynx Tour, Hawk Touch, you have Musetti, Zverev, Sinner, obviously. Quite a lot of players using Head strings. A very good string brand, good string selection, both on multifilament and polyester strings. So Head, I'm not surprised that they're high, but I think people mostly perceive Head as a racket brand. Then we have Tourline. Tourline, really high level on the marketing game. They make a lot of strings. They make very colorful strings, and they make excellent products. I would say their focus have generally been on a softer polyester for the club player that want a bit more free power and not arm concerns. So a little bit more on the softer side. I like Tourline strings, but they have tended to be a bit soft. I prefer a bit of a crisper string generally, like Solinco, for example. But we have a new string collab coming up with a string that has some serious bite to it. So stay tuned about that. That crisper feel, I think, has been missing a little bit in their lineup. So we'll see. MSV, I just did a video about their strings. I wanted to revisit this brand. They make some really quality strings, sometimes a bit under the radar. Solinco, Tourline, they're a bit better at marketing, maybe LA Vibe or whatever. But MSV makes some excellent strings. Focus Hex, Focus X Ultra, my favorite. Really dependable polys. You can get softer options as well. And I do think that they offer a really good price. So check them out. I did make a whole video about some of their strings just recently. So search the videos on the channel. Then we have other. So who are the others? And I tried to list as many string brands as I could, but there's so many string brands. I just, try to do my research, but I can't keep a list of like a million brands. It's impossible. It's maybe too easy to make strings. I don't know. Durex, for example, Pros Pro. Who else have I missed? What did you vote for? Please comment below. I need to know what strings you have voted for that maybe I didn't think about. Pros Pro is like the budget option. Durex makes some pretty solid strings, and Pro String could be. They have some solid strings as well. So there are brands, of course, that I didn't mention, not on purpose, but it's just a long list. So I want to hear from you guys who found strings outside this list and who you voted for. Yonex, they have a new string called Politor Force that is supposed to replace Strike. Strike was pretty stiff, round string. Force is a bit different. I've tried it briefly, but it's definitely a different string. It's not the same as Strike. They have Fonseca, the Brazilian wonder kid, as a main endorser who's using the string, and a bunch of other players. Seems like a very good string. Could be their best one. I'm not a Politor Pro fan because I find it a bit mushy, but if you want a soft poly, it's pretty dependable. A lot of pros like it. So a yellow Politor Pro, if you want a soft poly, is not a bad option. I just find it that sometimes a little bit too soft. They have the Casper Ruud hybrid on offer. I mean, you can't pre-package it, maybe they should, where you put Politor Spin in the mains and Politor Pro in the crosses. You can also reverse it. I think Ben Shelton does that. So there are options. They have some good strings. Politor Rev shaped one, pretty decent one there as well. But they're not so known for their strings, and I don't think the strings quite reach the level of their rackets. The rackets are obviously excellent, and perhaps the best-selling racket on the market right now. I don't know, but they are everywhere, and they've done a good job with that. After Yonex, we find Babolat. Babolat obviously very popular in terms of strings on tour, but for the average club player, I think they are a bit stiff in generally. So I think if Babolat should work on their product line, I think it should be comfort oriented. I think they need to consider a little bit like the general club player. They have RPM Blast, which I find to be a brilliant string. I really like RPM Blast. It does go dead pretty quickly, so it's super nice when fresh, and it's pretty firm. So it is tough maybe for amateurs who keep RPM Blast or keep a poly too long generally in a racket. They might get arm issues from RPM Blast then. But if you have it fresh every time, it's good as for the pros. But RPM Blast and RPM Team are pretty close, and they haven't really made a soft option that is really convincing. I'm not a huge fan of Hurricane. He's a bit like an old school string. So I think Babolat can do some work on their polyester strings. Obviously, their natural gut is very, very good. I find their multifilaments to be high level as well. The poly is a little bit limited in terms of the range. Then we have Restring, another favorite of mine. Some of these smaller brands that do a great job with products. I thought their first string, the Zero, was good, but it was a little bit lively. Sync was maybe a little bit too dead. So I personally fell in love with Vivo. I think it's their best string. I feel very, very confident when I put it in different rackets. So it's a string that I like, a little bit of a crisper shaped string. That's generally my vibe. So, and that's a personal thing, of course. Sometimes in certain rackets, I might prefer a rounded string, but overall, I tend to go back to the shaped strings. I just like that grab on the ball. And that's a sensation. Sometimes a round string will have better snapback. The strings pop out and back into shape. That's for some of you, but for me, I like this grab. So Vivo, kudos for that. Recently tried. Daniel has been testing Restring Slap. What do you think? First impressions.
It's a great string. It's a bit softer than my setup. I use the Dunlop Explosive Spin, also like a shaped poly, but this one is very good. Like, it's not only slapping back, it's also snapping back. So
that's a pretty solid 6-sided string, but I still find Vivo to be the best one. Grapple Snake, another brand that is small but have made some waves in tennis, mainly through excellent products like Tour Mate, which I really like. 8-sided, a really solid string, pretty smooth. So 8 sides, you're getting close to round, of course. We have many videos about shapes and colors and whatnot, so check those out. And Tour Sniper, those are my 2 favorites. I haven't tried their latest offerings, so I need to do that at some point. Too many products to test and review. Then we have Tecnifibre, who just released a new string, review to come. I might include it with other strings, called Razor Spin, 4-sided. They have the PU additive there. So it's like somewhat soft but stiff. So it's a medium string, interesting feel. Doesn't feel as harsh as many 4-sided strings. Has a crispness to it. So it's an interesting string for sure. Definitely a good string. But I will do a full review about that one. Vulkel, underestimated string brand. For whatever reason, of course, they do have some good rackets as well. But the string Cyclone, it's a classic. It used to be very well priced. It's still pretty okay priced, but it's gone up a little bit. But Cyclone, I think, is a string that just should be mentioned as one of their offerings. They have other strings as well that are good. Cyclone Tour is a softer one, and they have good multi-filaments as well. But I would say they are pretty synonymous with Cyclone. Wilson here is obviously not a brand that focuses on strings, considering that they have Luxilon. The partnership with Luxilon takes them out of that stress a little bit. They do have good multi-filaments like NXT, for example. They have NXT Comfort, which is softer, NXT Control, which is a bit firmer. So the multis they have, the revolves, I'm not a huge fan of. I think that they are they drop tension way too fast. So I don't think they are focusing on strings because of the Luxilon thing, but they do offer some strings. Kirschbaum is a classic. Proline 2, max power, played by some guys on tour. Good brand. I know that they're a brand that are dependable. You can count on their strings. They do make excellent strings. It's just been not so much seen from my perspective as a tennis nerd. Then we have True Pro. True Pro, another small brand. True Pro Pure Rush being a string that I really hype and like. I think it's their best string. They have a new one called True Pro Pure Rush Razor, and that's an 8-sided star-shaped string, so very aggressive bite on the ball. I still prefer True Pro Pure Rush. I will include this in an upcoming review about the Razor. A bit too aggressively shaped for me. I do say that I like shaped crisp strings. This is a shaped crisp string, but it's felt a bit too much, just my feeling there. So not as much of a favorite as True Pro Pure Rush. That's a very good string that I've recommended many times, and I will keep recommending because I find it to be a perfect middle of the ground poly, not too stiff, not too soft, just works. I've been enjoying it in many rackets. I really recommend the True Pro Pure Rush. Dunlop, their strings, Daniel, who you might have seen in some of my videos, he likes Dunlop strings. They are pretty firm. Overall, Explosive Spin, Explosive Tour, the Explosive series, pretty firm strings. Good strings though, also underrated. Not the best on the arm usually, so string accordingly, go low tension like Daniel, but they make good strings. Not many talk about Dunlop strings. They don't do a lot of advertising, but they have some solid offerings actually for a firmer string, if you like that. Diadem, doing well with their rackets recently, signing Bublik, Svitolina winning Masters with the Axis, so kudos to Diadem. Strings, the Pro X that Svitolina uses, which is a pretty decent poly, and they had a Flash, which is a softer white poly, and the first one, the star-shaped poly, it's a bit much, but overall a brand that has been doing some good work in the space, but a bit more on the racket side, I would say, lately. Signum Pro, another brand that people don't talk about, made in Germany if I don't misremember. Berrettini using Firestorm. I think Koboli was using Firestorm. Not sure if he does it anymore. They do have some pros, and they do have some good strings. Experience, which is kind of like a Hyper G string. Some excellent strings from Signum Pro. Not a really well-known brand. Wise Cannon, Mostly famous, I would say. I mean, they have a good like silver string as well, but Ultra Cable is so aggressively shaped. It's like crazy spin on the ball. Does work for some players if you like that. It like extreme aggressiveness. Should be mentioned. Prince, not my favorite brand in terms of strings. I heard they have something new. Make decent strings, nothing wow. Same with Torna. They have big hitter. They have some solid offerings, but it's tough for them to compete with brands like Solinco, Tourline, Restring, etc., who are really focused on making strings the best they can. Torna have the famous grips, as you know. ISOSpeed, I spent some time there at the factory, so thanks to you guys there in ISOSpeed in Austria. Really cool. They put a lot of attention, a lot of love in their products. I think the strings are good. I made a video about that before. So solid strings. They make strings for other brands there. Probably some of them I've mentioned already. So this factory impressed me. It was kind of fun to see how a string is made from scratch and put in a racket. I even tried like a string that is unreleased. So this is fun stuff. I love this stuff. ISOSpeed strings are good. Blackfire, Greyfire, good strings. Blackfire S, probably my favorite. As I said, I like shaped strings. Nordic Dots, they have the TS127, which I think is their best string. Now they have a soft one as well, which is pretty good. So they have a small selection of strings. Also more famous these days for the rackets, which they keep working on heavily. String Project, good strings. And they have a string I usually recommend like to veteran players who want to use a poly but want a soft poly, and that's Magic. Very, very soft. Kind of a blend of like a multi and a poly in the stiffness. And they have Sirius, which is a good round poly actually. I also especially like their multi-filament called Gold. So String Projects to get a shout out there. Last but not least, Topspin. They have Cyber Blue and the very, very spinny string Max Rotation. Good names for Topspin. But there you have it, Solinco. Well done, but pretty fair list, I would say. I think some of the brands put a lot more effort into making new strings than others. It's pretty clear, but some have some very solid strings. Some need to do more work on their strings. I mentioned some of that in the video. But thanks to all of you who voted. I want to do more of these polls. I think it's very interesting to get an overview. It's maybe some data for the brands to take into consideration. And please share your thoughts and emotions in the comments, especially on the website, because it's a bit easier to collect. I like that you comment on YouTube, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit easier to have everything centered there. So that's why we do like the draw for the people who comment on the website, because we want to encourage that, of course. We did a draw with a wheel. My buddy Stefan did this draw, so kudos to you who won. I would reach out and ask for your address. You will get a bit of a string sample. Nothing super fancy, but I want to hear your opinions on a few strings. Maybe for the next draw, we'll do something a bit more fancy, a racket or a bag or something, maybe, if you're curious. But I would like you to comment on the website. I think that's the easiest way, and it's easier also to reach out to you than to do all these things via Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. Let me know what your favorite string and brand is, and what kind of poll you would like to see next, or content. I mean, more videos to come. I have some fun rackets I've been testing. I talked about them before in other reels, TN, Deminar, and so on. And if you want to support the channel and get unique content every week, please become a member on YouTube or via Patreon. 2 options to become a member. It's $5 a month. I really put a lot of effort into making a video each week, which is a bit more personal, behind the scenes, talking about the process of testing, talking about my own experience playing, and any potential switch I'm doing. So you get a lot of information before the video actually comes out, because it's a lot of work to do videos all the time. Have a nice day now, guys, and don't forget to play some tennis.